Hey YouTube friends, how are we all doing this evening? So, I've decided, since it's been so long since I talked about it, like, basically, in my videos, I talk to everybody like they already know about the flat earth, and, um, obviously some people don't, and I've been meeting a lot of people out there on the street and directing them to my videos. So besides just that, I wanted to put like a refresher video out there on the flat Earth and why I feel that it's flat. And I'm just gonna run through probably like 10 main point reasons that I think it's flat. None of them are gonna be in order, and I'll be bouncing around. But basically, it's just so that because there's people out there on videos that I can send people to, but I also would like, if I just don't have time to get into it with somebody, to send them to my video, you know what I mean? To my video. Be like, go to, my video. Watch that shit. So, one of the main things for me was, we'll call it number one, same stars. And when I say same stars, I just mean being able to see the same stars every night that the stars are out. Now, it could be in a different place, but you'll see them, So that opens up a whole series of questions, Now, I'll start off by saying there are stars that people in the southern hemisphere can see that those of us in the northern hemisphere can't. But I believe there's very, very few stars, if any at all, in the northern hemisphere that the people in the southern hemisphere can't see. If that makes any sense. The people in the southern hemisphere can see Polaris, which would be the direct center of our world. Our world being flat. I'll start off with a basic explanation. Our world's a flat plane. We don't know how far that flat plane extends out. Some of us believe that this flat plane either has another flat plane above it and possibly a series, like a cylinder, okay, which would get into dimensions, okay, and others believe that this above our flat plane is possibly a dome, or what the Bible calls a firmament. That's where the stars are. Now, the sun, the moon, and the planets are different. They're lights in the sky, and they're definitely, in my opinion, not rocky planets like they say Earth is, that have gravity that you can land on and walk around on, okay? So the fact that I can see the same stars every night that it's starry. Now, if I'm traveling around the sun, at some point, maybe 6 months down the road, I should be able to see, I should have a different view of stars, or at least my view should change. There should be some sort of a parallax if I'm traveling that far. They're going to say, no, there's vast distances involved. That's why you never see any kind of a change. And without getting too deep into it, I'm just going to say that's bullshit, because they say that we spin around the sun. Our Earth actually has a wobble. Our Earth is tilted on its axis. That's part of the reason why when people in the southern hemisphere want to know why they can see Polaris, which is directly above us, they say it's because the Earth is tilted on its axis. Well, that makes no sense. Then people in the southern hemisphere that could see Polaris would see Polaris, and then they wouldn't. And then they would. There'd be like Earth in the way, and then they'd see it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Their explanation for the North Pole doesn't make any sense. They've never drilled past 8 miles down into the core, down to the planet, so to say that it's a molten metal core, total speculation. Total speculation. All these things are theories. If you look back, you got to look at the words, like Copernicus, Newton, all those theories. It just so happens that once, NASA, a crew run by a whole shit ton of Nazis and other assholes, just so happens that when they went up there, it exactly was what they thought it was all along. No errors either in a lot of those, except for the infamous Apollo 13. Nobody ever got hurt, really. They'll tell you all about all these near misses. Oh God, I thought astronauts were just the I thought astronauts were just the baddest ass dudes, man. They could think on their feet, man. Could solve any problem. Fearless, you know? Nah, gutless liars, right? Yeah, you know. He knows. All right, so okay, traveling, right? When it comes to anything, boats, planes, whatever. They never use like spherical trigonometry or everything is configured on a flat plane as if it was on a flat plane. Imagine trying to land an airplane on a spinning ball, like trying to land an airplane, basically like landing on an aircraft carrier, right? That takes skill, you know. But I mean, think about it for a minute. And this is a big one, right? They say it's all relative, right? So I'll just pose a question to you guys who think that this is all total bullshit, right? If I'm on a planet that is spinning at 1,100 miles an hour, now it would have to be, because it's supposed to be 25,000 miles around, it would have to be spinning at 1,100 miles an hour to keep 24-hour days, right? So, spinning east to west, I want to fly east to west, right? Now, once I get up in the air in the airplane, shouldn't the planet be cruising towards me? Like, shouldn't I get to California much faster than if I was going from California to New York? And people really will say, no, it's all relative. It's all relative. You're spinning with the Earth. It's like, how, though? If you're on an airplane and you break free from the ground, right? Is it gravity? Gravity, this force that is going to keep you moving this way at 1,100 miles an hour, right? Then you got to go, you got to break free from that to actually travel. That doesn't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense. When the shuttles supposedly go to the moon and they supposedly go to space, they always do a parabolic curve. They always go up and curve out over the ocean. Conveniently enough, never over land, never. That's because they drop them in the ocean, right? But when people say, how come it looks like it doesn't go straight up? How come it looks like it curves? They say, oh, well, that's because the Earth is spinning, right? So the Earth is spinning and the smoke just takes a trail. Okay, good. Well, if that's the case, then I should be able to get into a hot air balloon and get up, and watch the Earth cruise underneath me. That's what should happen. Because how could the atmosphere be moving me at 1,100 miles an hour once I'm not standing on the surface? I don't know. That always kind of, bothered me. Water goes level, despite what anybody might think. You don't really see any curvature. I live 30 miles out on an island. Now, if I was to Google the Earth curvature calculator and I wanted to see, if I was standing on the beach, how much of the land I should be able to see, right? 30 miles away. They say none. They say that the horizon should be hundreds and hundreds of feet above the target that's 30 miles away. Now, I work on roofs. I've been 100 feet above sea level, right? And I can see the land. So people say, oh, well, that's because you were 100 feet up. Well, that's not true. I looked it up on the calculator. At 100 feet up, I still, according to them, should not be able to see land at all by at least 100 feet, I believe. Something on that idea. But 30 miles away, and, put your eyesight at whatever you want. Put your eyesight at 10 feet. Put your eyesight at 15, 20 feet. I'm telling you that we can see, on a clear day when the sun is behind you in the morning, you can actually see it with your naked eye, right? But without it, you can see with a calculator, with a telescope, okay? Now, that brings up a whole nother set of points. People will tell you that as soon as you don't see the boat no more, that it's gone because it's gone over the curve. Now, that's not true, because once you pull out a telescope or a really good zoom lens, you can see that boat again. And not only that, you can see right where it touches the water. So that, you know, and I'll come up with another point, and this can all be looked up, you know, but I've gone and looked all these things up myself, so that's kind of part of my channel, is I tell you the things, and then if you know, you look it up. I'll put a link up from time to time, but I don't, or I'll send you directly to a site from time to time, but basically, I'm just going to tell you, look it up. It's there to be found. You can find it. Look up Navy railgun, right? Now, if they're telling me that I can't even see 30 miles away, I think basically what they say is it's something like 7 or 8 miles or whatever, and then you just, you know, you don't see anything. There's a drop off. Now, 7, 8, 10, 20 miles or whatever, you should see a major curve. When you go up in a plane, and people say, oh, I seen the curve, I seen it from a plane. Well, your eyesight, the horizon, which is horizontal, horizon, that's where the word comes from, right, stays with your eyes as you go up in the airplane. Now, if it was a ball, I mean, if it was an actual round ball, as you get up, the higher and higher up you get from a ball, the horizon would have to fall away. You'd have to be looking down. It would have to fall away. How could it rise up with you? How could it? I mean, just think on that for a minute. How could it really do that? How could it rise up with you when you go, with the higher up you go? But it does. It'll stay with your eyesight. Now, there's plenty of footage that with a fisheye lens that will put major curvature. Okay, so you can point out footage to me all day long where you'll see curvature in footage. Okay, but there also is footage without any of that, without the GoPro or without the fisheye lens. And then you can see that it's a flat horizon, right? It's, you know, it's flat. Just the fact that you can see the horizon. Flight routes. Flight routes. That's another problem. Now, this is a possible explanation for things like the Bermuda Triangle and stuff. Now, obviously, this ball is not the Earth. Believe it or not, it's actually space. There's Polaris right there. It comes from some toy that had all the stars on it. I keep it because it's kind of cool. But even this, you'd have to imagine this opened up flat above your head, right? So, we'll call this the Earth, right? Now, you got South America and Africa. Those two places at the bottom of the ball are relatively close to each other, right? You'd figure an airplane to be like all day long, right? But they don't. They don't. Instead, for some reason, they go a lot of times past the equator, and they turn around and go to wherever they're going, right? Makes no sense, but if you look it up, that's what you're going to find. Now, it only makes sense if you're on a flat surface, and once you get past that equator, okay, the things do not converge. The lines of longitude do not converge in on themselves anymore. Instead, they go outwards, just like a pizza or a pie, right? So, that's why Antarctica is not a little tiny thing at the bottom of the ball. Instead, it surrounds the flat plane by 360 degrees. Now, the sun and moon are the same size, just like they appear. They're smaller, much closer. Sun only throws off so much heat. So, that's how you're going to get like an ice wall. Now notice, anytime you see pictures, when they show you pictures of like the glaciers or whatever, they'll say it's the South Pole or whatever. Oh, they'll say it's the North Pole, these glaciers or whatever. You'll always see ocean and then this big like ice wall, okay? When you see those are pictures of the ice wall. And I'll tell you, I have yet to see a picture of the ice wall, right, with the sun behind it, with the sun facing you. Sun's always to your back when you see pictures of the ice wall. I've never seen a picture of the ice wall with the sun actually in the picture, like, you know, that's just something to think about, you know. I've seen pictures of an ice wall where the ice wall is like this and the ship is like that big. It's huge, right? I don't want to get too off topic, but these are the reasons. These are the reasons why I believe the Earth is flat, because I've been able to go ahead and prove some of these things with help from others. You know, I've taken their lead, taken their cues, and done some of my own stuff. There is a rocket that went 73 miles. It was an amateur rocket. It went 73 miles when they got up there. If you slow it down, and you can see this in a lot of hot air balloon footage also. High altitude balloon footage also, okay? When it gets up and it's spinning, you can see the moon in the frame, right? Now, they were able to determine, just about what time they launched it. They knew it was in the morning. They were able to break it down to about within the hour of exactly what time this thing was launched. Doesn't matter. You could break it down within a half a fucking day of where this of the time to prove this, okay? Anyways, figured out when they launched it. Then they figured out by looking on the computer, according to the official word, you know, where they track the solar system and everything in it or whatever, you know, according to that, on that day, that moon was above Australia, which I'm sure it was above Australia. Absolutely, probably was. But they could see it from California, launching a rocket 73 miles up in the air. Okay? Do I need to pull out the model? California, Australia, right? If the moon was above Australia, how in the hell did they see it? Now, I guarantee you, and I haven't done this yet because I'm a busy man, but I will. Dwayne Kellum, shout out. He does a lot of high altitude balloon footage. Guarantee you that man has some footage with the moon in it that can tell you exactly what time. Guarantee you some of those times you'll find that that moon is above, you know, like somewhere where it wouldn't be. If it's a globe, you wouldn't be able to see it, is my point, right? Obama many times has said, we don't have time for a meeting with the Flat Earth Society. What are those people? Flat Earthers? Like 4 times. Now, first of all, I didn't think that as a president you ridicule your people in any way, ever, about anything. Big sign of weakness. Major sign of weakness. Right? You don't do that. You don't ridicule your fucking citizens. You just don't. Right? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so, you know, that man doesn't say anything for nothing. Bottom line, we'll just leave it at that. Let's see, what do we got? The Vatican. They own the most badass telescope. It's called Lucifer. They own a lot of badass telescopes. That's because they're looking at what's really going on. Like, you know, they also look up, man, a lot of scientists, astronomers. If you look up dead astronomers and microbiologists, you'll see a whole ton of them have died under mysterious circumstances. It's because they find out. They find this shit out. And they get fucking killed, man. Serious. I just had an idea, too. I just had a good idea. And I'm not saying yet. So, yeah. You know, people, you know. Satellites. No? How come satellites don't bump into each other? They are saying, oh yeah, China's abandoned space station is going to come down at any moment. Well, yeah, I mean, they will come down because they're balloons. Balloons can carry payloads of thousands of pounds. Just think about that. So when you look up and say, no, I seen the space station, I seen it. Just, it may not actually be a space station in orbit, right? Let's see, some more about astronauts being fucking punks. Like the fact that, you know, where the space station is, besides the fact that it's in a thermosphere, which is supposedly thousands of degrees. Don't ask me how they measured that, right? because it's supposed to be thousands of degrees, would just fry whatever you use to measure it. Thousands of degrees, but you don't get burned because there's only a few molecules there. There's not enough molecules for it to feel the heat or whatever. But that sounds to me like, okay, there's just not enough molecules up in there. What happens when you bring me or a space station? Like, wouldn't that be like a microwave oven, a tin can or something? You know, it's kind of funny that everything just went off without a hitch, you know, when they went to the moon. When they went to the moon with these, God, in like a tin can, right? And then they say, well, now they're like, we want to get people to Mars, but we need to figure out how the hell we're going to get past the Van Allen radiation belts. We don't know what we're going to do about the Van Allen radiation belts. It's like, sir, didn't you guys already, like, pass the Van Allen radiation belts in the 60s? Did we forget about that? Why don't we just use that technology? Jesus. Somebody had asked one of those guys, what did you guys do to get past the Van Allen radiation belts? One of the astronauts. You know what that man said? Well, we didn't do anything because we didn't know anything about him at the time. Oh, so ignorance of a deadly force just will get you right through it, right? Oh, space junk, by the way. Boy, those astronauts, such badass dudes. Right? Space junk supposedly flies around at 17,000 miles an hour. Again, never any mishaps, you know. But back to that Navy railgun real quick. I don't think I made my point on that. Okay. Supposedly we only see, according to them, like 7 to 10 miles, or even if we could see 20 miles or whatever, straight, you know. We know we can see more. You can see more of the telescope. You can actually see, like, it's flat. The only thing that really stops you from seeing, you know, everything all the way to clear to Russia is convergence with your sight, the way your eyesight works. Just think of it if you were in a long hallway. You know, if the hallway led, you know, the hallway was miles, you still wouldn't see all the way down it. It would, you know, it would kind of converge in on itself. You just wouldn't be able to see it. But this Navy railgun is a line-of-sight weapon, and its range is 125 miles. You know, just for a minute, think on that. It's 125 miles, right? That's the range on that weapon. Now, according to the Earth curvature calculator, to hit 125 miles, you would have to be 8,000 feet up in the air. You'd have to be 8,000 feet in the air to be able to hit a target that was that far away. Your round would shoot off the planet. So my question is, with all the weaponry that they have, this Navy railgun it's basically, it fires like a football size projectile. I forgot how much it weighs or whatever, but it's just a piece of steel. It's ran by electromagnet. The electromagnet force or whatever, however they do it, it gets it going down the barrel so hot and so fast that sheer speed is what keeps this thing, what makes this thing so powerful. But that's all it is a bullet. It's just a projectile. It's not something that, like a proximity weapon, you know. It's just not. I've had people argue that, and we've looked it up. We've according to their specs, that's not what it is. My question is, why build it? Why build something if you can't use it? You know what I mean? If you can line a sight only 20, 30 miles and then hit curvature or whatever, then why do it? Why would you do it? The answer is, you wouldn't. You know what I mean? You know, like, you know, NASA, like, we could go all day long. Like, I could take you on any site, anything, and just show you pictures and be like, does that look real to you? You know? I mean, they got pictures of the globe, like, that they, like, one from 2006, one from 2012, one from 2013, where it's like North America, in one of them, you know, they're all the same size around, but in one of them, North America takes up like 1/3 of the frame, and then in the other one, it's way smaller. Like, it's just like, what is that? You know, You got China they put out some video a while back where they showed the dark side of the moon. It was just ridiculous. They showed like the planet, and it was taken from, I don't know, some thing that they got that was supposed to be like way far away, that turned around or something, and it showed the planet and it showed the moon going around the moon, which looked totally cartoony and cheesy, by the way. Like this dark side of the moon, it's like we're finally able to see the dark side of the moon. But what I remember is the sizes of the two bodies and how close the moon looked to Earth, to where I'm just remembering these shots that the astronauts took of the Earthrise. And I feel that they got it some major crucial detail wrong, because the Earthrise pictures, basically, it looks like the same size. It looks like our moon would look. But if we're that much bigger, that shit should be taking up a large portion of what you see. It just would have to, because of how close it appeared. It just wasn't right. The proportions were not right. And that's just one, these are just a couple things of hundreds and hundreds of things. Those spacewalks that they do, they're blackened or darkened underwater tanks. You see bubbles coming out of their masks, right? I could go on, there's more. I'm just trying to think of, some of the good ones, and, ones that'll stick out in your mind, like Neil deGrasse Tyson and those guys from NASA. Bullshit. First they show us all these pictures from the 60s. It's a perfectly round sphere. Then they start saying, well, no, it's like a spheroid. It's an oblate spheroid. Then you got Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, it's actually pear-shaped. It's a little wider down at the poles, and it's like a little wider down past the equator and up at the North Pole. It's like, how the hell how would you be able to see that? How would you be able to measure that? How, by their own admission, all their satellite footage, they say, well, it's not actually footage. It's photoshopped. It has to be. They say that it takes ribbons of imagery as it goes around the Earth. Because you can't, I don't know, whatever, can't get far enough away to get a picture of the Earth. Okay, so all this space stuff we do, right? All the stuff we do, never one time will you see them pan the camera, even 180 degrees. Never mind pan it 360 degrees around. You won't see it. And you should. There should be shots of the Earth, and people will say, oh, there's all kinds of, they're on the space station. You can't get a live feed where it's just if they could just give us even just a live 24 to 48 hour feed where no interruptions, and we were able to in real time track it, but can't happen because the shit literally does not exist. If anything, all the Google Earth images you see are high altitude planes, high altitude plane footage, high altitude balloon footage. And that's what the hell it is. We got air currents that you could probably put balloons up into that would carry these balloons into these circular air currents that would very much resemble an orbit. Enough to where they can pretty much keep track of it, know where, another thing. Like I said, the lines of longitude don't converge in on themselves. They go outwards, right? So there's they'll tell you that a lot, 90-something% of our telecommunications, internet, all that, underground cables that go underneath the oceans, right? So we got this equator, and then past that equator, things start to get wider, right? So now you're adding more land. This could explain things like Bermuda triangles where planes and shit gets lost. People find themselves off of their reckoning, or you know what I mean? You got Malaysia planes that go missing. Why? That's part of the reason. Also, like I said about the cables, right? Take a look at the satellite dishes outside at the houses that you see. None of them are pointing straight up, and they should be. They're not. They're pointing to some sort of ground-based antenna. Everything is ground-based. There are no satellites up there, you know what I mean, relaying signals. Although, I mean, if the balloons exist, I don't see why they couldn't have balloons up there relaying signals. But for some reason, things like Malaysia planes go missing, things like that. So maybe once you lose, you could lose your way, run out of gas, try to turn around, you know what I mean, and just think you're here, but you're way the fuck over there. I'm sure it happens all the time. Like, again with the Antarctica, Captain Cook. When Captain Cook he wanted to circumnavigate Antarctica. That's something like 8,000 miles around, I think. Right? That's not a lot. That's a small little thing at the bottom of the ball. Well, what he found when he got there was that he sailed for like 4 years and he logged like 60 or 70,000 miles. Right? So maybe, those numbers, you know what I mean? If it's stretched out like that, that would make sense the whole time. He's like, man, I can't get up there. You probably wouldn't realize that you're steadily going this way. You know what I mean? You're just following the ice. I don't know, but we can't just find out because they won't let us there. And that's the last thing I'm going to bring up. The Antarctic Treaty. Now, this is an interesting thing. You got a world that just fights all the time. Can't seem to get along on nothing. A lot of that is bullshit, by the way. We were never really fighting. I don't think we were ever really fighting with Russia or ever really gonna fight. I don't really think nuclear bombs even exist, not in the sense that they say they do. What better if you don't have one, can't build one, than letting everybody think you got one and can use it, can and will use it, right? That's a whole nother video, but it's like a stage, it's a stage, right? So nobody gets along in the world, right? But somehow 50 some odd countries now have signed on to this Antarctic Treaty where basically don't go there. It's cold there. The only people that can go there are people who pay huge money for a tour, or scientists to go do scientific research. That's it. That's the only, right? Now, my question to you is, how in the hell people that can't agree on shit, everybody agree on that? For what? And nobody's ever tried to lay claim to it? No crazy dictator? Again, no crazy dictator's ever gotten their hands on a nuclear weapon either and blown it up, right? Or that we've heard, right? I don't think this shit exists. You know what exists? Fear. That's what exists. And that is the biggest weapon of all. It's the biggest, scariest weapon of all. Because if you can psychologically fucking break somebody, if you can psychologically beat your opponent, oh man. If y'all seen The Walking Dead, the last episode, if you watch it, then you know what I'm talking about. But the last episode, when the New World Order basically shows up, and he's like, you don't get it. You don't get how the New World Order works, do you? But I just remember when he's like, steps out, big fucking shit-eating grin. He's like, we peeing our pants yet? He's like, no. He's like, it's gonna be Pee Pants City real soon. It's like, ugh, I don't want it to be Pee Pants City. Dude's holding a ball bat with a friggin' barbed wire on it. It's like, this is not good. But I don't know where I was going with that, but I know where I was going with that. It's because it is the New World Order. It's people making our decisions for us, all of them. And like, we're just letting it happen. And man, are we in so much trouble. Like, I feel like one day soon it's gonna be like, he's gonna let us know, oh, by the way, we own you. We own you. No mincing words, no beating around the bush, no trickery. Just straight up. Here's your new freaking set of rules, and if you don't follow them, we will kill you. Rights? Oh yeah, you have rights. Right this way. Right to the gallows. I mean, I fucking hope not. But, I don't know. That's what it seems like they want you to think. That's what they want me to think. So, I go through my life every day just like everything is going to work out, because that's not gonna happen, the whole fear tactic. Like, I don't think that whatever it is that's going to take place would be exactly the way most people would think, where they just kind of knock on your door. I think it'll be more of the, aren't you guys so lucky we're here? Because, look at this problem. If it wasn't for us, you guys would all be in so much trouble. So, sign here, and we will help you. Don't be fooled. Stay vigilant, everybody.